Everything you want in life lies beyond your addiction. I am someone who has had terrible problems with addiction to marijuana. Yes, it is addictive. I know for those of you who are deep in your addiction right now, it's the last thing you want to hear, but there is a reason that you clicked on this video, and it's because there is a part of you that knows that it might be true. Before I get into today's video, I just want to say I am on the road. I don't have a lapel mic. I'm sorry. Hopefully the audio is clear. I've got my AC as low as I can have it without dying from heat exhaustion, but I am moving right now from Colorado to Chicago, and I am in Nebraska right now and on a 14-hour drive with the Tesla needing a couple extra hours to charge. I knew that I wanted to be a little bit more productive than just listening to music. So if you can get past whatever sound there might be going on right now, I promise you this video is going to really have the potential to change your life, because I know that the ability to master what I'm going to talk about in this video is what has given me everything that I've wanted. Now, as a precursor, I am someone who smoked marijuana for 13 years every second of every day. I did not have very much time not high, and I have dabbled with other drugs, and I have an overall dopamine addiction is something that I would say, and that's something that I want to bring up to a lot of you, is that you might be your vice, your number one vice is probably very clear to you, whether it's tobacco or weed or alcohol or shopping or gambling or whatever it is, but you likely have other dopamine addictions too that are minor, but really getting rid of that major vice is the first step to the rest of your life. And I know that if I was listening to this video 3 years ago, I probably would have already stopped this video because I don't want to hear it. There is a part of me that knew it, but when it came down to not having weed in my life, I was willing to deny it. So if you're still watching this video, I'm already proud of you for sticking around and hearing me out on this, because I'm going to talk about health, wealth, and relationships. So health, career, and relationships. We're going to talk about the three categories and why all of your goals for hitting your goals in each of these three categories, the first step is getting rid of your addictions. I'm going to mostly talk about marijuana in this video because that's what I really know about, but it really does pertain to whatever addiction you have. So let's talk about fitness and health to start here. I don't think this one needs to be spent nearly as much time, because if you're smoking, your lungs aren't working at the level that they should be, right? If you don't believe me, go jog 1 to 3 miles, whatever would be a difficult thing for you to do, or more. But you're probably not jogging more than 3 miles if you are smoking anything consistently. Even if you're drinking, you probably find it difficult to just to do these things at your full capacity, and you've probably already realized this to some degree. The other reason though why, apart from the health concerns, because I know that pitch doesn't work on you. If it would have worked on you, you would have listened to DARE or whatever you went through in elementary school, and you would have never even started addiction, any kind of drug or substance to begin with, because of all of the health repercussions that we all know about. We can downplay them for sure, and you can smoke marijuana for a long time and you're not going to have a smoker's cough. I do think it is better for your lungs than smoking tobacco, but we're not just trying to downplay the side effects. But the real problem that you're going to have with getting right in fitness, to get the body and in shape to the level that you really want, is that because all humans need dopamine, especially you who has now accustomed yourself to wanting more dopamine in your life from these substances, the way to get that dopamine fix. The only healthy way to get that dopamine fix is through fitness. You will be able to lift more, you'll be able to stay at the gym longer, and you won't be so high sitting in the gym parking lot thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so high, I can't even go in there. If you're like me, trying to smoke before everything that I do, and just taking a long time to leave the house, potentially missing the gym, everything gets harder, all right? I definitely have gone through streaks where I'm very consistent in the gym, even with weed, but I never got past a certain point. I was never able to get that six-pack that I really wanted, or to bench 225. Those were goals that were just always out of reach, okay? So moving on from fitness, business. I am an entrepreneur. I've been in commission-based sales for the last 12 years of my life. And this YouTube channel is my primary income source, or primary lead source for my business. And it didn't ever take off until I quit weed. What happened is I had been trying to do my own online businesses for 6 years. And I was basically broke for 6 years. Like, I was living paycheck to paycheck. And before that, I wasn't. I was doing very well in my sales job, and I had to take a leap of faith because I knew I didn't want to do that sales job much longer. I knew I wanted to be an online entrepreneur, and I invented multiple products. I tried all of the major ways to make money. I've done podcasting. I still do podcasting, YouTube, lots of different e-commerce, drop shipping, print on demand, you name it. I've done about 9 different businesses. And when I quit weed, it was about 3 to 5 months after that the money really started to flow to me. And the biggest reason why is because you lack speed when you smoke weed. Ooh, that's a good line. You lack speed when you smoke weed. And you know this. You know that your energy does not go up. If you think that, oh, I'm a better sales rep, I'm better on video, I'm more relaxed, I'm less high pressure, whatever story you're telling yourself right now about why you perform better when you smoke weed is a lie. And most of you aren't even in denial of that. You're just like, whatever, what am I gonna do? Not smoke weed? That's something that I used to always say, like, well, what am I gonna do? Not smoke weed? Not gonna happen. So I guess I'm just gonna triple my coffee intake. I guess I might take some extra uppers every now and again when I take too many dabs before I try to work, or I eat too much edibles, all right? And what happens a lot of times is you will get in your full innovator mode with weed. So it will feel like you're working. And what working really high looks like is this. Oh, and you have all these epiphanies, and you think, wow, these thoughts are amazing. And they are. They are amazing. However, they're thoughts, and they're not actions. And if you do not have speed in your business, you're always going to be late. You're always going to be late to opportunities. Think about all of the marketing methods and ways to make money that are no longer available to you. Think about the businesses that you're like, oh man, 5 years ago, if I could go back 5 years, I would do this business and I'd crush it. There are so many business models, like running ads to a webinar to sell a course, drop shipping even. Most of the opportunities are totally gone. Amazon FBA. If you got started in Amazon FBA in 2010, you could suck and you would be rich right now. There are so many business opportunities that if you just catch a tailwind, you can suck and you can have poor execution, but because your timing is right, you will find success. If someone wanted to start an Amazon FBA business in 2010, but they didn't really get it off the ground until 2013, their results are significantly diminished because the world had found out about it by then. Now you're going into it with competitors. Now you're trying to, just everything is working against you. You have to have speed on your side. Maybe you want to do some kind of invention. For me, I want to come out with an agency offer because I run Facebook ads, and I run Facebook ads for businesses based on performance. I just charge on commission, and I've kind of been the pioneer of that path because no one's really run ads to say, hey, we'll run your Facebook ads for you based on only commission, and you can fire us at any time. There's no minimum monthly commitment. I have been finding success with that pitch for the last year. I've been wanting to move it into a paid ads campaign. And about a month ago, I started seeing like 3 different people running ads for that same kind of offer. And I already feel like I'm late. So I'm already like, the pressure is on. I really want to put a lot of effort into getting these ads out ASAP, but I'm no longer going to be the first one there. I'm already going to be going for the scraps, for the people who haven't seen those ads yet, rather than the first person to show them those ads. I'm no longer first. All right. And think about the difference between first and second. Who was the first woman to circumnavigate the world? A lot of people know that that is Amelia Earhart. Who is the second woman to circumnavigate the world? You probably have never heard of her. Even Neil Armstrong being the first man on the moon, even though the moon landing's totally fake, way less people know Buzz Aldrin as the second man on the moon. It's significantly less. Who's the fastest man in the world? Usain Bolt. Who's the second? Nobody knows. There is a massive difference between being the first person to something versus the second. And weed is making you place later. It certainly is not making you place first, because it hurts your energy. Even if you smoke sativa, even if the bud tender tells you this one is for creativity and energy and uplifting, it's not. You know it's not. You know that your mind is there. Your mind is there, but it doesn't translate to your actions. So it doesn't really count for anything. You can go through a whole day of being high and barely have anything to show for it besides thinking of what you're going to do next, and you've had some brilliant ideas, but there's a point to which you need to stop thinking and start acting, because you're going to be not first place, and that is not good. You have to be the first to a lot of these opportunities, even like Uber versus Lyft. Like, Uber's a way bigger company, right? So you want to be first, and you need speed on your side. Now, on top of that, we all know that weed does give you anxiety. Now, how do you get rid of your anxiety? You smoke weed. However, it is a temporary fix to your anxiety. But then, because you are slowed down, because you are not hitting your goals, because you are not performing your best. If I was super high recording this video right now, I say so many times when I'm high, and I don't even realize it until I play back the video later and I realize that did not go nearly as well as I thought it did. And weed keeps you in the gutters to how you're not really performing that well. You'll get done with your task and you think you killed it, and then you'll go back and watch the video or listen to the audio, and you just aren't fully present. You know that you're not. An example is one of my buddies was a music producer, and he used to get super, super high and make music. And this is one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, weed definitely makes you better at music, right? Because you love it so much more. And maybe it helps you get into it a little bit faster. But what he had to realize is that after like 5 years of trying to become a DJ and never getting any traction, is that he thought his music was so good because he was so high. He didn't realize that it was just kind of mediocre because the weed was giving him a lower, barrier of what he thought was good. And this is also for being funny. I'm someone who's always prided himself on being a funny person. But later in life, I realized that I wasn't getting laughs to the level that I used to when I was back in college. And it's because everyone around me wasn't high anymore, and I still was. And when you're high, slightly funny things are very funny. And very funny things are extremely funny. But you're always just not going to have your full bearings over like what is actually funny. Or even when you tell your jokes, you're going to be like laughing already at your own joke, and you're not going to deliver it properly. So your threshold for what is actually funny is lowered. Your threshold for what is actually good music, for what is actually a good post, are all lowered because the weed does make it seem better, right? You can watch a crappy movie while you're high and you'll think it was a good movie. And that seems like it's great, right? That's why you keep smoking weed while you play video games, while you watch movies. I will say though, a good movie is still a good movie, all right? But you're not going to waste time watching bad movies that are acceptable just because you're high. You're not going to play video games for 3 hours because you're high. You're going to play for an hour and you're going to love it. It's going to be an awesome hour. But you're not going to need to sit there for 3 hours because the weed is making it that much more entertaining. So even though it does work to make certain mundane aspects of life seem more entertaining, that is actually a huge cost to you that is happening because your threshold of what is actually good or great is not where it needs to be. So you're never able to hold yourself to the proper standard. So that is why it really skews you in those ways. So with business, for me, after a few months after I had quit, what naturally happens is I start coming out with more YouTube videos, even if it's like 20% more. That is that is very significant over the 5 or 6 years that I've been doing YouTube, because 5 years with an extra 20% is an entire extra year of content that I am coming out with. And that is the difference maker. YouTube is extremely competitive. That is the difference maker for posting frequency on Instagram. And I used to get so high and I knew I had to make a post, but then I would turn on my camera and I'd realize my eyes were completely red. So now you're doing eye drops and then you are just not fully there. Your energy's not there. You're not thinking clearly. You're not speaking clearly. It takes extra takes before you get the take that you want to publish. Everything takes longer. And that speed difference is the difference of you making it an entrepreneurship or not. There are a lot of you who are in traditional careers, but it still pertains to you. I will say maybe a little bit less, because maybe you're in a dead-end job. If you're in a dead-end job and smoke weed, you will be okay with it. And that's great, but not really, because what will happen is all of a sudden you're going to be over 40 and you're going to realize, I've been working a dead-end job for a long time, and the only reason I haven't done anything about it is because when I get home, I get so high that I can just accept it. You're okay accepting normal. You're okay for accepting less than what you know you're capable of. And what will happen is later you will experience the pain of regret. If you're in your 20s, not a lot of life has happened yet where this hasn't probably caught up to you yet. It's more acceptable to you. But I'm 34, I just turned 34, and I will tell you, it was basically like 32 that I started realizing that, why am I not successful yet? I wanted to become a millionaire by 30. That was my goal in my early 20s. And I was successful. I was one of the top selling Cutco reps. And I can think back to all of these sales presentations that I did extremely high. All right, I would do sales presentations. Like, I had a rule where I was like, all right, you can't smoke unless it's like at least like 2 hours before an appointment. And then over time, as I got better, like that number eventually became 45 minutes. And there are some times where you just take accidentally a little bit too big of a hit. And now all of a sudden I'm doing a sales appointment and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go get eye drops. I forgot them. So now I'm spending an extra $10 to go get eye drops, let alone an extra 15, 20 minutes to go get them, to put them in, to go do my appointment. And you don't do it well. You're just not on the same frequency of your customers. Even for just making friendships. A lot of you probably don't have as tight of friends, or you're not as good at making acquaintances as you'd want to be. And it's because you're high and they're not. So your threshold for what's funny, for what's cool, for what is actually bringing energy to the table, for bringing presence to that conversation is skewed. And they can see it. You're not even making eye contact in a lot of cases because you know your eyes are cached. You know that they're hazy or they're glazed or they're red, and you're not going to make eye contact. And eyes are the window to the soul. And if people can't see your bright white eyes like I have going on right now, then they don't really know you for who you are. Because you know that there's something about just talking to someone and just knowing that you like them right away. Like you just talk to them for a little bit and you're like, I already like you. I don't know what it is, but I just love your energy, all of that, right? Beyond like a spiritual aspect to this, all right? But there is a spiritual aspect to your energy attracting other people. If you are in your highest energy state and you're in a great mood, how much easier is it to make friends than when you're having a terrible day and maybe you're super high and you just are like, all right, don't look at anybody. Oh my gosh, everyone here knows I'm high. All right, I'm super extroverted. And part of the reason why I smoked weed is because it turns me into an introvert, and it made life easier. It made it so I didn't have to go out and make friends or go talk to people at a coffee shop, go talk to that girl at a coffee shop. And I'm going to talk about relationships in a second and why quitting weed was necessary for me to get a girlfriend as well. This played out for me too. But yeah, your business goals, I promise you, if we just even consider the speed aspect, it is completely necessary. And if you're not in entrepreneurship, you will stay in a job that you hate much longer when you have weed in your life than when you don't. You don't even know how much you hate your job because you are suppressing it. And if that is your way to just allow yourself to not do what you actually want to in life, then so be it. But there's an older version of you who is really pissed at you for doing so, and you know that. So don't grow old and all of a sudden feel like you can't even do anything about it. Let's move on to relationships. I suck at dating apps. I have even bought courses. I've done like professional photo shoots. I've done a lot, okay? I put a lot of effort into stuff, but I could never really get matches. And as an online entrepreneur, or at least matches that I wanted, and as an online entrepreneur, you are at home working from a computer and you don't have coworkers and you're not meeting people nearly as frequently if you were in a job that brought you into a workplace where there's always new employees. Okay, that's why a lot of people date their coworkers. That's just kind of like how it happens. You meet people at work and you date them. If you are self-employed, you don't have that. And if you are not the type of dude who crushes it with dating apps, and in my experience, most of my guy friends that do crush it, they're like over 6'1" or 6'2", all right? And they are more of this like traditional guy that can attract a lot of girls. And I'm not even bad looking, right? I'm a little above average, I'm gonna say. You can even call me average. An average guy should do fine because an average girl crushes it on dating apps, right? We all know this, but you know that guys get swiped right on or whatever it is so much more infrequently than girls do. Because guys are like, whatever, let's just see if she matches me. And girls are like super picky because they've got enough matches. They're not trying to like add to their amount of messages that they're getting unless you can beat out the other guys that she's matched with. And a bunch of those guys that she matches with, she doesn't even have a chance with because that same guy has a ton of matches. Like I have some friends that they have like hundreds of matches. It basically is like you have hundreds or you have like nothing, is like what I've seen with dating apps. So in order to actually date, you need to be able to approach people in public. And I will tell you that you can get girls that are in a much higher league, or guys that are in a much higher league in person that you go up to and have the confidence to go approach than what you'll ever get online, is the reality of it, because confidence is key. And the fact that you went up to them and approached them with confidence already puts you, like you gain like 2 points immediately. You gain 2 points. And what happens when I was high is sometimes I would go to the coffee shop and I'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to smoke today in case there's a cute girl that I want to go say hi to. And what would happen is I wouldn't be high, and I would feel like, all right, this is one of those rare occasions where I'm not high, even though I smoked like 4 or 5 hours ago and I'm still kind of dragging. But I'm not high, I need to do something about it. So I would go approach some girl that I'm not really even that interested in, because I would take this as like a rare opportunity where I'm actually alert that I would have to do something about. So that's not terrible, but I mean, now you're approaching girls that you don't actually care about too much. I'm just going to say girls here, but if you're a girl, then, you know, just sub it out however you need to. But I would kind of force myself to like go up to people that I didn't really care about, right? And that's not going to work. Like, you don't even care. Like, even if it does work, like, that's not good. That now you're in a situation where you're like, all right, I was kind of just approaching you because I was like, I told myself I'd approach people today, so I didn't smoke weed. And then what happens is the other times where I'd be like, you know what, I got to get a lot of work done. I'm going to the coffee shop. I'm going to eat like an edible because I enjoy like working on a low dose edible, even though it doesn't help at all. It's just acceptable because I get enough done, right? I get enough success, but I didn't. I just made enough to pay my bills. And what happens is on those days, those are the days that the person that you really want to talk to is there. And even if you can muster up the courage to go up high, your eyes are messed up. Even if you like put in eye drops that make them clear, they're still shiny. They're still off. You're still avoiding eye contact because you're not you. You're the high version of you, and you will always present yourself differently when you're high than when you're not. At least agree with me that you're not the exact same person. The sober version of you is not the same person as the high version of you. So even if you muster up the courage to go over, it doesn't play out well. Because the best way to approach someone is to just know, if you see someone you're interested in, to just say hi immediately. And what would happen is if I was high, I'd be like, oh damn, okay, I really want to go say hi to her. What should I say? Let me think about it. I'm still really high. Let me finish a little bit more of my coffee. Maybe in like half an hour, I'll go do it. And now, it's just kind of weird. You're not acting in the moment, and they can tell, all right? Girls can tell so easily if you are off. If you are questioning yourself in your mind, they can tell. And the fact that you know that you're a drug addict is hurting your chances to have the full confidence to go up and say hi in the way that you really want to. You're not going to be yourself, and you know it. So I don't need to say anything more about that. But the thing is that life will throw things at you whenever it wants to. When you're going to meet your next girlfriend or boyfriend is not up to you. You know this. Otherwise, a lot of you would be dating right now because you kind of want to be in a relationship. But the day that that person is going to come across your path, you don't know. And if you're not ready to act on it, it fucking sucks. Okay? Because I've gone back and forth with weed. And And a lot of you will probably do this too. I hope you don't, but the reality is weed is a very addictive substance psychologically. You know that it is the rose-colored glasses. That if you're just having a bad day, it's the instant fix. It feels great. We know this. But what happens is that, so like, oh yeah, what happened the other day, I was leaving the gym and I was high. I was like, I was at a time where I was like, yeah, it's fine, I'm gonna smoke. And I am walking out of the gym and a girl that is exactly my type opens the door for me. And then we're just like in the parking lot, standing right next to each other. No one else is even in the parking lot. We're like walking together and it ends up that our cars were parked right next to each other. So I have about, I'll say like a minute or two of walking like right next to this girl who is exactly my type. But because I was high, it made me think, no, you don't have to. It's fine. Here's some reasons why you don't have to do it. And then I get in the car and then she drives off. And now all of a sudden the regret hits me where I'm like, you know, if you weren't high, you would have said hi. And maybe she says hi and then she says, I have a boyfriend. But I'd rather that than not say anything at all. And it just doesn't work as well, because even if the next time I say, all right, next time I see her, I'm gonna say hi. What happens is now you're trying to create something rather than just letting the moment happen, and it doesn't come naturally and it's not nearly as good, right? Because like over the next week, I had so much pain of regret from this that I was like, I'm going to the gym at the same time. I'm going to try to run into her again. What am I going to say? Maybe I'll say this. Maybe I'll say that. Now all of a sudden I'm coming into this conversation scripted, and that's not good. I had the perfect opportunity right in front of me. She opens the door for me. I say thank you. I could easily just say, how was your workout? Hi, how are you? Whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact that it was just in the moment is totally fine. And I promise you guys, if you haven't realized this yourself yet, women love attention. So if you think that you're going to bug some girl by saying hi, you're not, all right? You will if you're like, what's up, girl? Damn, you look fine today, right? Unless you're like drunk at a party where it's maybe a little bit more acceptable. But you don't have to do anything besides say hi. If she says, yeah, it's going, I'm great, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, hey, like, what's your Instagram? Do you want to get coffee sometimes? And she says, thank you so much, I have a boyfriend. Is she glad that you did that? Absolutely. She loves it. She loves that you said hi and you asked her out and then she said, I have a boyfriend. You just validated her. Everyone would love that. So you need to know that you both want the same thing. Single people usually want to be in a relationship. So you both want the same thing. This is not you being a creep or whatever thought you're telling yourself. But the fact that you're high is going to make you have these stories. It's gonna make you second guess your actions. It's gonna have one extra thought process before the action. You're gonna say, oh wow, I wanna say hi to that girl. All right, you're really high. Are you too high right now? I don't know. Do I really need to do it? Well, no, maybe not. Because you are naturally lazy in that moment. You are lower energy. Your mind is going to process it differently. And then you will be left with the pain of regret. And I had enough stories. I hope this doesn't happen to you, but the reality is, for a lot of you, in order to quit weed, when God or the universe wants you to quit weed, it will become apparent, all right? I have had terrible things happen to me where I knew that I needed to quit weed and I ignored the signs. I've messed up with girls that I really didn't want to mess up with. Even one of them was my ex, and we kind of broke up because of weed, because she was sick of dating a guy that's high all the time. And she knew that if shit goes down, I'm not prepared to handle it. And a girl doesn't want to be with you if you can't grant her security. And she knows that you're not in your senses when you are high. And it just makes her feel uncomfortable, all right? So a girl will really never fully give you her heart if you're not making her feel secure. And you being dulled to the world around you is not helping. And that is why, you just won't create the proper chemistry with a girl anyway. But what happened is that relationship ended, and that was the first time that I said, you know what, I'm going to quit weed. And I did. And I quit weed for about 50 days. And I said, if I ever run into her again, I don't want to be high. I'd be so upset if I ran into her high. And what happened is I eventually got back onto weed, and let alone behold, I ran into her. And I was so high, I did not know how to act. I really was all over the place. And that right there stung so bad. That hurt me so much. Because I just wanted, hey, if I ever see her again, because, you know, we basically blocked each other on everything, but I wanted to see her again, and I got that chance, and I was high, and it did not go well. And that has happened more times than I would like to admit, with other situations, or even in business scenarios, or just even seeing someone at the coffee shop that I would love to have approached, but I didn't because I told myself that I didn't need to that day for whatever reason, when I know that it's because I was high. Your life is passing before your eyes. You could have just met your wife or your next girlfriend yesterday, but because you were too high, you didn't do anything about it. You just said, why, no worries. It's fine. I'll just not worry about acting on it in this moment. And your life is passing by you. And I recently did get out of that relationship that I was just in. I just dated someone for about a year, and I met her after I was about 4 months sober from smoking weed. And she would have never dated me if I was smoking weed. Okay, she's very clear about that. This girl hated weed, and guess what? Most of the quality ones hate it. All right, there's a lot more stoner guys than stoner girls, and the girls that smoke usually don't smoke nearly as much as the guys do. There's exceptions to this, of course, but I realized that as a stoner, I could get stoner girls, but they weren't the ones I really wanted. They weren't the ones that I wanted to be the future mother of my children. And in order to attract the partner you want, you must first become that partner. So if you don't want a stoner partner, you can't be a stoner. So I am about out of battery. I'm going to have to turn this into a 2-part video. If you liked this video, like, comment, and I will come out with a video for how to quit your addiction without using willpower. See you in the next one.